Hello, so welcome to stretch, yoga, whatever you need. But more important, what I want to do, this is for everybody and anybody. I want to focus on lower back care. And so this is lower back care that I was thinking about because people have been telling me they've been sitting at the computer too long and their lower back is uncomfortable or hurting after they get up. And so this can also happen in the car. So that's the idea I have in mind. And so I've been having fun. I love this subject and I've been practicing with it and testing it on my own sensitive lower back. And I like the ideas I've put together today. So what I want to touch on is spine mobility, so getting it to move. Okay, so when you're stuck in those chairs, sometimes your spine might be doing a little too much of that, and it's coming out of its beautiful neutral spine. Neutral spine is when the lower back has that gentle curve forward. Okay, so as much as I can today, I'm going to try to not teach a curved spine. It'll happen sometimes because it feels good to stretch it that way, but we want to, as much as we can, come out of that or move away. So mobility through the spine is one idea. Core strength, of course, so the balance of core activation. So I have a couple strength exercises that are gentle but purposeful. And then a very important area when you're sitting too much at a computer is the deep hip flexors, okay? And so we are going to take a moment to get into the lunge with this sequence. Along the way, I'm going to have little alternatives. You can choose this or that. The lunge can be replaced, although it is the best way to get into the iliopsoas, the deep hip flexor. And that iliopsoas, when it gets tight, it can cause lower back tightness or lower back discomfort. Anyway, lots of introduction. Let me move on really soon here. Things you might need, things you could need is the scarf. So I'll use that at the end. So I'm going to put that over here. And the pillow is going to be used, or blankets, whatever, is going to be used at one point with a seated twist because I want you to make sure that your spine is lifted and forward in neutral spine. Okay? So I'm going to set that over here for when I need it. All right. So the first place we're going to go is on our backs, and we're going to work on what's called the arch and flatten. So learning a little movement in your spine. So I want to do it a good 8 to 10 times. So if you want to watch me first, you could. If you don't quite know what I mean yet. So the movement, when you lay down, you definitely have the knees bent, feet are hip width apart. The movement is right here where you contract your core in and you feel the lower back press down. It's like a little pelvic tilt. And then you release it up. And so if you want to lay down and practice that, your arms can be wherever. I'm going to bring mine up so they're out of the way so you can see if you're still peeking. And so practicing release of the lower back, contracting in, pressing it down. That's where your core muscles activate and draw in. So with the breath, inhale, release up. Exhale, contract, draw it in. So continue with that. We're going to do 8 more times. Really purposeful, releasing. Exhale, press the lower back down. So keep with that. Practice finding that arch and flatten, feeling the release of the lower back up into neutral spine and then beyond. And then contracting in and feel your lower back flatten to the ground and your core comes in really strong. Maybe 2 or 3 more. So now just letting that relax. What I'm going to do next is pull one knee in. So I'm going to pull the right leg in and extend the other leg long on the ground. Okay? So what I'm focusing on here is opening the hip flexor area. So really long leg, and that foot that's way far away, you're going to flex it and then point it. So really that slow motion. You feel a flex, and then a point, and just one more time. So
this is one way where you can open up into the hip flexor, and I'm going to add on to it. See my, maybe you don't see, my hand is going to hook over the top of the leg that I'm drawing in, and I'm going to pull that knee out and down towards the ground, and my left hand will go to my left hip here, and press that one down. Eyesight is up, and hold that for a moment. The knee that's in your hand, you might shift that around, see what you feel. Deep breath. The foot that's reaching far away, you might play with a flex or a point. Notice what you feel. And then bring that up, and I'm going to bend the knees, put the feet down, and switch to the second leg. So focusing on the leg that's reaching long, stretching away, opening up that hip. And do a really slow flex and point of the toes down there. And just a deep breath into your body as you go. And then just relaxing that foot, I'm going to hook the hand over the other knee and draw it down towards the ground a little bit, opening up, maybe shifting that around a touch. And so breathing into this open hip position. My other hand, my right hand, is placed on that hip, holding it in place. Nice. Now bring it in. All right, so put the feet down, and you're going to take the arms out to the side in a T shape. Feet are hip-width apart. And you're going to feel the windshield wiper legs, where you drop them to one side and your head turns the other way. And then you lift them up and you drop them to the other side. Head turns. And so I would suggest very slow, because on each side I would love it if you feel the stretch of your quadricep up into your hip area. And you begin to feel the little twist of the spine. So mobility there. Just waking that area up. I'm going to do one more time each side. And then center it out. So the next little thing is moving into a little core activation. So we're going to go back to that idea of drawing the core in and flattening your lower back down. And now you're going to keep that. So lower back pressed into the ground. Now, it does release a little bit with breath, because I want you to breathe fully into it. Okay, so it doesn't have to stay so deep the whole time. So really strong core, and then you're going to take one leg. I'm going to do my right leg. Take it up. I'm going to say straight up, but I don't always mean that. If your leg doesn't do that with comfort, your knee might be bent, the leg might be a little lowered. Okay, so adjust it, please, for your body. But I want you to concentrate on when that leg lifts up, can you feel how you can contract your abs to support that position? Okay, so noticing that, breathing into the strong core. Now that might not feel like much. It's a really light activation. For me, it feels pretty awesome. It's just a matter of learning how to really be aware and use that. But I'm going to add on to that, really sweet and simple. The other foot's going to hover up off the ground. There's a little more activation, and I take it up. So your knees might be bent, your legs might be straight. It's kind of like really up to your legs, how it feels. The most important thing here is that you are activating the core, trying not to work your hips too much, because that is what we want to let go. We want to contract here, activate core. Now this is more than enough. This is just fine if you can learn how to use that. Your arms could come straight up. Okay, they could. Don't have to, but they might. Deep breath there. And I just want to hold that for a moment. So feeling that, bringing the knees in, rolling yourself up. Good. So now, moving to the next place to benefit the lower back. So you're going to come to hands and knees. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see the spine movement, because I want to give it some extra thought. So create the tabletop, peek back to your knees and see that they're wide enough, that they're hip-width apart or wider, giving the lower back space to move. So the first thing I'm going to do is concentrate into that arch and flatten area. So into that lower back and doing the tiny little movement again, releasing it down. And then contract
ready to move into the full release down, the cat and the cow, releasing all the way down and then curling it all the way up to your shoulders. And so we'll do 8 times, so 7 more of those. Inhaling it down, and exhale as you curl. Now keep with that, just close your eyes if you wish, and move your spine as completely as possible. And then centering that out, the next place we're going to move to, really nice for the lower back, is the child's pose, if that's a comfortable place for you. So you're going to relax back and stretch long. So it might be down low, you could also be up high. You just want to reach your spine long, set your arms up in a way that is comfortable for you, so they don't have to be reaching. But I am going to do a little shoulder and wrist release by turning my palms up and relaxing with my head through that. Deep breath here. We're going to be coming back to child's pose 2 or 3 times, so know that that's a good one for lower back. And I want to feel down into my hips, so I'm just rocking it slightly, a little bit side to side. And then I turn the palms back down. And then we come on up to hands and knees again. Now the knees are going to come close to each other. Okay, they're going to hug in close. And we're getting ready for another core activation. Okay, this is almost the Sunbird, a little bit of Sunbird action if you remember that one. But I'm going to contract the core up, but my spine doesn't curl. Let me practice that for a moment with you. Let's just pull the core up. The lower back curls just a little bit maybe. And then release down. Do that a couple more times. And then I find a little spot to balance through that with a strong core. We're going to add in the leg reach. So again, notice, strong core. Your belly button is lifting up to the spine, and you reach one leg straight back. And then you take a moment to play with balancing of your spine. And this is where it might be cool to have a friend around to check your form. Or you can just, if you don't have someone around, that's totally cool. Independence is awesome. You can check with your hands and just practicing that balance. Now I'm going to bring my other hand, the left hand, up to my core and remind it again to lift. Okay, so beautiful, core activation here. If you want that Sunbird, you would reach that arm forward and move into that. I don't feel that's necessary for me at the moment. Deep breath. I'm going to add one thing onto this. I'm going to curl the spine. So what I'm going to do is pull a knee towards my chest and curl my spine up. And then release the knee down. And then center it out, so knees are hugging close. Pull your core up, feel that first, then reach the second leg straight back. Play with the balance of your hips. And then more and more, just get that idea of pulling in, up through your belly button, balancing through that. A little glute workout too, if you want. Deep breath. You might reach that arm forward and create a beautiful Sunbird if you're wanting that today. Deep breath. And then I'm going to curl my spine and pull the knee towards my chest. Core activation to do that. And then release it down. And of course, wonderful moment to fall back into our child's pose again. Wrist reliefs if you like. I'm going to stay here a little longer, turn the palms back down, and rock my hips into the lower back. So you shift to one side, your head can be dropped low, and then you shift to the other side. So just taking that little shift side to side, now, centering it out, and I'm going to turn towards you because we're going to start to work on the lunge. We're going to get into that hip flexor area. If the lunge is not something you want, but you're enjoying this and you want to keep with me, you would just lay on your back and practice pulling one knee in, reaching the other leg long, and opening your hip flexor there instead. Okay? Blocks are always nice, yoga blocks if you want to practice, and patting your knee. Okay? I'm going to bring my pillow over just so I can show you something in a moment. So bring one leg through. So truly patting the knee, you can put a big old pillow under it. Okay, so you can make it really comfortable and happy, and this will still work. I wanted you to see that, and I'm going to use that today. So now I want to open up this hip area. So I'm starting to press up, and I'm just going to do a little bit of that action of drawing in and releasing. Deep breath as I go. Trying to lift it higher. This is going to open through that quadricep up into some of the front hip area. It's hard to get to that deeper hip flexor though. We'll do that in just a moment. I'm going to lower down. And if your body allows, you could do this movement of forward and back once or twice. And then I want to bring it up one more time and see if I can deepen into the iliopsoas, the deep hip flexor muscle. So the best way to get it is reaching high and then moving into a little side bend, like that. I'm going to take my hand right here in front and actually draw this arm back slightly. See if I can keep that. Deep breath. Tuck through the tailbone, so a little drawing in of the core is going to deepen it more. And then I want to lift up big, shoulder circle. We can remember the shoulders in this combination. And then I take that back. And I'm going to switch to the second leg. So bringing that forward. Making sure you brought it through far enough. You have a straight line here. Okay. Lifting up. I just want to start to feel how I use that movement right in here to begin to open up the hips more. And that also teaches that strength to balance in the lower back. Good. And then I'm lowering down for a moment and moving forward and back. And coming forward into it. One more time, pressing up, and then reaching the arms up. And side bending it away, right here. And deep breath. So what you can do with that hand is like take that arm, maybe draw it back, feel a little tuck in the tailbone, drawing in of the core, and you might be able to open it a little tiny bit more. Core to more. And then down. You got it. There's your lunges. All done with those beautiful things. Take it on back. All right, we're going to take a seat and move towards a twist in a moment, so the pillow will be useful very soon. I'm going to face you for a moment and do a few windshield wipers. So I take the arms back and just stretching to one side, opening up the front, and then other side. And so you might do a little neck turn. Notice the twist beginning here, the warming up of the spine in that way. Perfect. Now centering out. So twist, what I'm going to do is sample the pillow because I want you to make sure. Now I'm going to turn sideways for this so you can see. Without the pillow, what might happen is that my spine will be like that more, and I'll be twisting like that and not benefiting. So you could, without a pillow, you could practice that lift. But what the pillow or the pile of blankets does is it will lift your hips up and it will assist you in bringing your spine forward. See what I mean? And also this leg, instead of close, maybe further out, allowing you to be more lifted. front shoulder. And then look to the back. And then releasing off of that. And then one more time. Take it back. Inhale to the front. And exhale to the back. And you got it. Unwind. And then switch to the second side. So feel that moment of lift and seeing if you can get your lower back to shift forward a little more towards neutral spine. Hook the hand, take it back. Inhale, look to the front. Exhale, look to the back. And then one more time, inhale. And exhale. And perfect, unwinding that. Cool. All right, so now we get to use the scarf. Moving to our backs. You could always watch for a moment. So you want to avoid, right now, using the stretch to really press the lower back down into the ground, as tempting as it will be. And it is okay if you go there, but you might want to see, I'm going to show you how you can maybe back off of that. So I think I'll hook it onto my right foot here and have my left knee a little bit bent at first. So start with the bent knee, keeping that if you want. And so if you take this stretch and you're just feeling so into it and you want to draw it towards your face, that's going to press your lower back down often, which is cool, but not really what we're going for today. So what I'm going to suggest is a little more of lower back release practice of pushing the leg away and then drawing it towards you a little bit. See, you again, can you find that arch and flatten of the lower back when you move your leg like this? So with this hamstring stretch, anything you need, that's why you have the strap. If you want the knee bent more, if you like the leg lower, some of you are more flexible and can have the leg higher. What I really want you to notice is the lower back relation to this. And so I'm going to find somewhere that's not too intense, not too pulled forward, right about here, and just move around a tiny bit there. Now I'm going to take my other leg, see how it feels to stretch that one long and open up that hip flexor right there. So deep breath here. And so now we're going to do a more exaggerated version of what we did in the beginning, but the leg now is extended. I'm going to put my hand on this left hip and open the right leg out to the inner thigh stretch. Your eyesight should be up. Feel balance in the middle of your body and let that leg open up from that balance. Take a moment here. You might notice how that opens up the other hip also. That's what I'm feeling at this moment. And then guide it back to the top. Perfect. So we'll check in with the other leg, other side, feeling the connection to the lower back. So put it on there loosely, let the knee be bent, the other knee bent also. All the knees bent in the world. All right. And so now I'm playing with the movement of the leg. And instead of just trying to draw the leg towards my face, I'm practicing pushing it away and then feeling that little movement forward and back, and notice if that can move your lower back. It works better if the other leg is bent to find that connection. And then I start to move that leg around a tiny bit. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go into that outer thigh, inner thigh stretch. So the other one is going to stretch long and pressing that leg down, that hip down. I even put my hand on it to kind of hold it in place. And I slowly open out to the inner thigh. I don't want to go too far, so I use my elbow. Sorry I couldn't show that to you on the other side. I use my elbow and it catches it before it goes too far because I want to keep the rest of my body centered. Deep breath here.
then back up. Guide it back to the top. One more stretch, one more stretch. I'm going to toss the scarf aside. And the last one is your deep twist. I am leaving out the figure four. I was so tempted to do the figure four, but it didn't really go with the theme today. But that one's also good for the lower back. So if right now you want a figure four instead, feel free to do that. I'm going to do the twist where I get my hips shifted underneath me. Okay, so I got the one knee and then it could come across a little bit. Sometimes it feels okay to bring it further. You have to politely ask your spine. And then the arm opens and you stay with this for 2 or 3 breaths. And then you can center it out. Get the hips underneath you again. Make sure you've lined them up in the center. And then shift it to your second side. Settling into it, letting your chest and shoulder open. 2 or 3 deep breaths here. And then easing out of that, I want to make sure that I finish off with a centered lower back. So I'm going to hug the knees in. Yes, this will curve the lower back down. We'll do that for a moment. And then roll your way up. And I want to do just a little finishing touch and seated because I want us to feel. And so I'm going to reach out the pillow. I want us to feel how our spine is doing, how our lower back is doing. I definitely prefer the lift of the pillow. You could do butterfly right now or cross-legged and just see how you're doing. And I think we'll just take a moment, drop your head down, deep breath here, and then roll through the neck, inhaling up, exhaling it down. Inhale up. Exhale it down. One more time, each side. Inhale up. Exhale it down. Inhale up. Exhale. Relax down. And lift up. And thank you so much for hanging out with me.